best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
Welcome to Discover Crypto Therapy Session, because we are seeing the markets absolutely melt down right now. What may feel like it is the end of the cycle. It is the end of the road for these assets, but I'm here to tell you, I'm buying. I've been buying, and I think this is actually putting us in a stronger position that we've seen. Now, am I building a glass house? Am I building a citadel on a hill that I'm going to die on? I don't think so, and I'm going to show you why. But there are some concerning things we got to pay attention to in the charts. Even speculation that Michael Saylor might be selling. That would be an absolute cataclysm in the markets if we were to see that. But as we get into this, everybody in the chat right now, throw a 1 if you are a bull, throw a 2 if you don't know what the heck is going on, throw a 3 if you think the top is already in and this is as expected and all of us are just dummies. I'm curious to see what you guys got to say. We got Drew making an absolutely incredible interview right now with a secret guest on another that he's doing for Blockchain Basement. He'll be popping in here in a few minutes, but we got to go over some things, everybody. I see we got a lot of bulls. We got, a lot of 1s here. We got a 3. We got a 2. We got all the numbers here, and that's what's to be expected. But as you can see right now, let me know what you notice is different about my hat, because remember, usually at the back of it is black. So let's see what this means here in a few minutes, because there's something brewing in these charts right now. And also, let's not forget what's coming with everything that's been setting up in this market. So when we're diving in here, let's look at what is going on, because guys, it's all over. Bitcoin's at $94,900. We're going to cry about it. No, we're not going to do that. We are not victims. We are operators of circumstance, and the circumstance right now feels to me, for my portfolio, for my vision of what's going on in this market, like we are about to get some absolutely bananas price action. The question is, and I do not deny it, there are bearish signals everywhere. There's bearish divergences. There's whatever finger painting you want to do on your charts that are very supportive of some bearish price action sometime either now or even potentially in through all the way February. However, these things can flip on a dime. And I don't know if it's going to be today, tomorrow, maybe even after the new year. Because remember, we just got the government to reopen. Everybody's saying when the government is going to reopen, that's going to be so good. And it is. 24%, roughly 24% of the U.S. GDP is basically federal spending. And all that was shut off. So we basically had a 25% hole in the U.S. economy while the government was shut down. It's open back up. So why then are we seeing these charts that are just absolutely melting to the downside? Well, let's talk about that government shutdown and reopening. The reopening isn't a full-on reopening like you would normally see. Yes, it is open, but all they really did was they extended what they're seeing now into roughly, I think, the end of January. And this is coming into the end of the year, right? We're coming into December in very short focus, but we also don't have clarity on, are we going to end up in another 40-day, 50-day, 60-day shutdown coming into that? So there's some things to consider here, but I want you to understand something. Everybody, while this feels so bad, let's throw on our finger painting and see what is going on. I just want to highlight a couple things here. We are in 25% downtrend right now, 25% dip from this high, just over $126,000. Have we been here before in this cycle? Let's zoom out a little bit further. Oh, damn, you're telling me the last dip we had from the last range high, $109,000, which at that time was like, oh, new all-time highs. We got a dip of 32%. That lasted roughly, and I have it measured out here, 79 days. So we're 39 days in, 25% dip. We had a 32% last time with a 79-day dip that this occurred before this resolved to the upside. And this was the tariff crackdown where everything was over for markets. Remember that? Remember when everything was over for markets at $74,000? And on this day, on this great day of April 7th, I, built my glass hill. I built my house on a glass hill yet again on that day. And I said, I'm looking for, this is a very super bull div that's setting up here. The markets are coming into a necessary territory, bouncing on a previous range high, as well as not only Bitcoin, but also the stock market. Major bull div there, in addition to the VIX peaking in a way that we hadn't seen in a long, long time. So I called this on this day likely bounce setup, and we did. We bounced from $74,000 all the way up here, a 70% move that happened after the market was done, after it was over. All the bears out there called it. Well, here we are yet again with a 25% dip so far. Everybody's calling it. Now everybody's even more confounded because we just had the 4-year cycle kind of getting to that terminal point. But wait, there's more. What do we see in the last dip that we had? 74,000 all the way back down to where previous range high, right about here, bounced. That was 148 days of absolute frustration that also resulted in about a 32% dip. So 32%, 32%, we're at about 25% now. We're kind of entering that range that is still smaller than the previous two large upsets that ultimately ended up propelling like a rocket ship to new highs. I mean, let's do the measurement from $48,000, 155% move from when the market was over back here. Do you all understand what's going on? That's why when I'm looking at everything in this market and there's all these bears out there, I am deporting every bear that's out there, because what we're going to be seeing happening is this number right here. And I'm not saying it's going to happen this quarter. I'm not saying it's even going to happen in the next 6 months. But what we need to keep our focus on, our vision in these markets, is that we just entered that sort of world adoption stage in Bitcoin with positive legislation, with Wells Fargo just announced that they're buying exposure to Bitcoin. We got the Czech central bank out there getting exposure to Bitcoin. We've got the stable coins, everything. I mean, what is happening right now is nothing more than a gift for those that are patient, and ultimate capitulation frustration for those that are too short-sighted. Now, what is going on today? Why is this happening? Well, let's look at it. Well, there's a perfect storm right now, and there's U.S. selling pressure. How do we know that? Because we can look at the Coinbase premium. Basically, is it more expensive or less expensive to buy or sell Bitcoin on U.S. exchanges? Because it's going to vary regionally and by different exchanges based on what's going on specifically within their liquidity book. So what we're seeing here is Bitcoin is trading at a lower price. Bitcoin is trading at a lower price on the US-based exchanges compared to international platforms. That's good, right? That means what it means is it's a clear signal that American investors are selling more aggressively than the global counterparts. So we need to understand that. There's a little bit more selling pressure going on right now in the US. And remember what just happened. We just came out of a 40-plus day government shutdown, 24% hole in the American economy. And now it's kind of a false reopening because it's kind of kicking the can down the road, not very far, only, about 60, 90 days, basically the end of January. And we're coming into the end of the year. Then you talk about all the liquidity and whale games going on with Binance and Wintermute and this control and the ability for them to take advantage of all these emotional players. So let's look at this. On-chain data also shows that long-term holders are selling. Oh no, it's never going to happen getting to 200K. Well, here's the deal. On-chain data is showing that long-term holders across various cohorts, meaning different wallet sizes, from those holding for 6 months, that's another cohort, to as long as 7 years, are all taking profits at the same time. Well, I'm going to show you why something here that's going to sort of disband that or sort of diffuse this sort of fear around that here in just a moment. What is it? Well, first off, today we have nearly $5 billion in Bitcoin and Ethereum options expiring today, on a day where there's heightened tensions, on a day where there's fear to take advantage of, on a day, where is it at? I have it up here bookmarked somewhere. On a day where we're coming into the highest level of fear that we've seen in the entire bull trend thus far. I mean, look at this, even higher than the bear market bottom on FTX came as low as 29. Look at that, 21, 29. We're up here sitting at 16. And when this reprints, maybe it has so far. Let's take a look. I'm just going to reload. Yeah, we're at 16. The most amount of fear that we've seen so far, and it's warranted. There's bearish divergences on technicals from back here in March of 2024 all the way to where we're at right now. Everything that's playing out right now on a technical sense makes sense. A good friend of mine, great analyst in the space, Jesse Olson, he's making, a pretty realistic, and I think it's a good case on a technical basis that we could be in a distribution top, and this could be breaking down a lot. We could have topped, and I'm not dismissing that. I think there's that technical take is spot on. The argument that I'm making here, and people like Dave Weisberger and Darkside and the Real Plan C and Fred Krueger and Gary Cardone and Grant Cardone, all these people that I'm talking with on a regular basis in spaces. In fact, if you didn't listen to last night's X Spaces, go over there on Discover Crypto or over to my page, which is right here. Make sure you give it a listen. If you can just scroll back, you'll see a post for it. But it was a great conversation about what's going on and what to expect into 2026. And one of the consensus things about the market is as scary as this is, and as much as everybody feels like the only thing that matters in this market is if the price does this, it goes straight up. The market's not going to do that. It doesn't work that way. In fact, it's so far different from what we see. If we zoom out and we look back at 2017, this was Bitcoin in the face of all adversity. This was Bitcoin in the face of finally reaching the smallest level of virality of the, beyond just a super tech excited people really understood blockchain. This is when it started percolating over into the very edges of the general masses. And the market cap was incredibly smaller. Look at this. This was back when Bitcoin, you could have got Bitcoin 2016, $400. And in fact, it went from, look, down here, 195 all the way up to 19. Basically, a 10x, boom. Incredible. Not a 10x, sorry. Let's more than that. Boom, let's look at that. Yeah, look at that, 10,000% in one cycle. And here we are in this cycle where it feels like, oh my God, we have a 25% downtrend, but let's look, 32%, even after the ETFs went live, 22%. In fact, we had another 20%. This is regularly scheduled programming. So when we're looking at this, we're getting, the options expiry and guys, there's some selling pressure and it's all nonsense. Because you look at this and what do we see in the charts? And I'll show you this on the live chart in a bit. I posted this earlier today. I haven't changed this. I had this box down here. In fact, let's look. When did I post this? June 12th, gift from God buy zone. Look at that. And let's look at where we're at. It didn't feel like we're going to make it in there. And now look at price coming not only into the gift from God buy zone, but also this downtrend level of support that is in a falling wedge, which tends to be a bullish structure, and also exactly bouncing on the golden pocket. What is that golden pocket of, though? The golden pocket is of right here, the 74,000 all the way up to 126 measured. In fact, if you don't believe me, let's draw it. Option F, draw from the bottom to the top. Started from the bottom. We were there, but now we're here, right in that golden pocket, perfect bullish retrace sort of zone. Now, again, as beautiful as this is lining up right now, and I would love this just to bounce from here, there's cases to be made, and I've been making it for 2 years, that although falling wedges are bullish patterns, what I feel like is increasingly more likely, almost every time I see a pattern in the sort of midterm macro setup for crypto projects, is that although this is supposed to break out, that this may have a deviation below, come back inside, and then work its way up and work its way, back into new all-time highs. That may not happen. It may bounce from here, come like that. Who knows? My point being is right now, there's plenty of reasons not to be so damn worried. Now, what are some of those reasons? Well, this isn't me. It's not just Kelly Kellum, the guy that does YouTube and posts on X, and I'm just well, let's go to somebody that's got a little bit more of a track record. James Thorne here, who has a PhD and is an economist and also is a part of an investment fund, an investment company. What does he say? We don't need to read the whole thing. I highlighted the main points. Quantitative tightening is going to end soon. Great, something we've been talking about here on Discover Crypto. That means there's a less constrictive liquidity scenario environment for markets, not just Bitcoin, but then we also have a Bitcoin adoption continuing to accelerate, supported by pending legislation that promises greater regulatory clarity. This is great, especially for a lot of players that are still sitting on the edge, waiting to really fully deploy into this market, or even to just start getting deployed. And then we've got here still in the face of, oh my God, it's so scary with the chart. Some investors choose to sell Bitcoin precisely as its long-term case strengthens. The crazy thing about this is the bull run ends when liquidity dries up, not when it's about to get kick-started, lit on fire, and set in motion with nuclear propellant energy. What do I mean by that? Well, we've got the QT ending, meaning quantitative tightening is going to sort of reduce down. We may even get into quantitative easing soon. We got about $1 trillion in the Treasury General Account that's going to start to roll into the markets. The expansion of the balance sheet as well. In addition to that, we have all these different things at play and some legislation that's already passed, like the big, beautiful bill. That's a $3.5 trillion bill. China is about to start printing money. The U.S. is going to have to, especially if we're going to be doing these $2,000 stimulus checks or tax rebates or whatever means that's going to be. They're going to make this economy run as hot as possible. That is what Trump is built on. Whether you like Trump or not, it does not matter when you're investing in these markets. Ask yourself, what is the impact of his decisions going to do to risk assets and to safe hedges in the market? That's the focus. When you're in markets, your emotions, your feelings, and your morality do not matter. You need to say, how am I playing this asset, considering how I think the rest of the market is going to react to the environment that it's in, and forecasting when that switch is going to happen. That's why on a day like today, when we're looking at the market and we see this massive downside price action, my characterization of this is I put on a $200,000 Bitcoin hat because I still see it coming. Now, if we don't get some upside today, I don't care. If we don't end November green, I don't care. If we chop sideways, which is very possible, chopping sideways potentially all the way into Q1, all the way into the start of Q2, I'm just going to be buying the bottom side dips on each one of those, because the story still plays out. When you zoom out on this, zoom out, there we go. That we still have the setup to be pushing up into these higher zones. And there's a lot of things at play here. And when you have people, not just crypto YouTubers, and by the way, just so you know, for any of you that are like, who is this guy? Maybe you don't watch Discover Crypto all the time. Maybe you're even new to the channel. I've been in these markets for 10 years. I've built entire education platforms for crypto. I've had 90% or more of my entire net worth in the crypto ecosystem for the last decade. I understand what's going on here. And I also understand that I don't have all the answers. So I get in these X Spaces rooms. I talk to other people, other crypto YouTuber technical analysis, but also other major players that understand and have sculpted multi-billion, $100 billion, $1 trillion trading platforms in traditional finance. Understanding, like everybody from legal representatives to actual asset managers to wealth and hedge fund managers. I try to immerse myself with as many people with different thoughts and different experiences on these markets as possible, so I don't get on a chart and look at it and just go like this. I'm going to pull a fib, and this line, this has to happen. All of this is window dressing. Every bit of technical analysis that you can do, and I do a lot of it, so I'm calling myself out too. All of this is window dressing in the face of the context of the trillions of dollars that are on the sidelines, the governments, the major wealth managers, the wealthy, the ultra high net worth wealth, all these players that are coming in, and the control of liquidity that Binance and Wintermute has on the market, and the power of a Trump tweet. You can draw a line, you can draw a pattern, you can pull a fib, you can count an Elliott wave. Every one of those signals is going to be broken by something that shifts the risk context of the market. So this gives you good framework until something like that happens. And we've all seen, throw a 1 in chat if you agree with me. We've all seen this cycle, a pattern, a structure, a formation, a plan that should work based on the stats, based on the probabilities, based on the confluence of signals around it, only to see a Trump tweet take the market in the exact opposite direction, only to see a tariff, only to see what's happening with gold, only to see all of a sudden a government shutdown, only to see an escalation of war, a new war, a shutdown of war, a Nobel Peace Prize. It's just like the market is like, sorry for the language, but the market says, fuck your fib. Fuck your fib. The market does not care about that, especially when you have the biggest money on planet Earth that's getting involved, and they see where this market's going. They see where this market's going. They only hope they could find an asset like this over the last 100 years that is so incredibly powerful that they could also move into in the way that they have, like BlackRock, like Fidelity, like Vanguard, like, oh, Vanguard's kind of on the edge of that. Van Eck, JP Morgan's starting to, they've turned the corner. Deutsche Bank, Central Bank of Czech Republic. You got Wells Fargo now stacking, Bank of America. Every bank out. SoFi is now going to be offering Bitcoin and crypto services and trading and all this. What we're seeing is the ushering in of a new era. So on the days like today, where you're seeing in the market take a bit of a spill, in fact, over the last 39 days, oh my God, it's down 25%. You're telling me you're new here. If this is frustrating you, because I've been through it. I've been through every one of these swings, even this one during COVID, where the market, it's about to go back up. And it went from $10,200, boom, look at that, minus 64%, down to $3,600. It's over, guys. Bitcoin's dead. And then it went from $3,600 up to over 69,000. This market is not built for the weak, but it will make your future so incredibly strong if you can hold on as this is going. Now, we have a couple lines here that I don't usually share this chart, but, essentially previous range top into support. And then we have this top, basically kind of a top here. And then we kind of have this sort of this extended channel, parallel channel formation that this is really respecting coming into. And so what we're seeing right here, interestingly, is if this is at 25% already on the dip, what happens if we go to 32%? Well, let's take a look. 32%. That would be, I did not change this chart. You can go back in the videos. I've been sharing this chart periodically for about probably 7 months or longer. That would take it right into this rising level we've had a lot of interaction with over time. Support, resistance, kind of a chop zone around, rejection, support. Are we going to come back down into it? I don't know. But I'm prepared because I see, and I don't think it's going, again, I don't think Bitcoin's going to 200,000 by the end of the year. It's very possible. How do I know it's possible? Well, let's look. What day is today? Okay, let's see how many days this is real quick. 57 days. And so we got about a month and a half. So let's go back right here. Let's take a measurement. Let's go to the daily chart. I just want to show you how quick things move in this market. Okay. How quick things move in this market. Now let's go back. Let's see. That is, so would be about 45 days. So that's 45 days. Cool. So how much to about right here? Let's move this. We're going to see how much did the price move from about that 45-day mark. It was right here. That is a 60% move in 45 days. Okay, so let's just see what could happen with a 60% move over 45 days. Hold on a second. Let me move this. I don't want to do that. That's not the one I want. I want the price range. There we go. So 60% move, 45 days. That would put us up in that. I mean, I've had this drawn on there forever. That's a fib extension, but that would put us up here in basically the $150,000 range. That's how fast things can move. Now we have to realize we can't just be blind bulls. What happens if that doesn't happen? What happens if the market has a little bit more wiggle room and it'll shake out because the back and forth of the politics and the constriction, and maybe we get a rate cut pause in December? Well, bring it. Because we see the scaling of not just the everyday man and, third world countries getting involved, which is happening as well, but major market players are getting involved and further anchored into this asset class. So in some ways, you kind of expect them to shake it out to the downside so they can get better prices. In fact, there's some things out there like, let's actually see where it is. I got it somewhere here. Oh, we'll get to that in a second. There's some things out here like the drama around what's going on with Michael Saylor and the fact that they might be selling MicroStrategy. Well, first off, let's back it up. Let's back it up and we'll get into that. Everybody's so worried, as I mentioned before. Where is it at? Right here. There's long-term holders that are selling, guys. There's long-term holders selling, but then you also see there's whales. There's a rotation happening, and there's whales loading up during this dip. Boom, right here. This wave, 7-day balance change, total balance change by large holders. So these are whales by definition, people with 1,000 to 10,000 Bitcoin in the wallet. What is happening with their wallet activity? Is it growing? Is it shrinking? Are they adding Bitcoin? Are they moving it, selling it? Well, we see here large bump here, large increase into this recent dip. We have from 126 all the way down here to into the $100,000 range. Now this has dipped a little bit further, but again, this is all whale games. Remember, we've had this $92,000 CME gap for quite some time as well. But then we get to that data everybody's fearful of. Guys, you can't ignore. Can't ignore. Strategy has been sold. It's selling over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. It's fake. It's just a misinterpretation. Saylor is not selling Bitcoin, just internal transfers. Ignore the FUD. In fact, I've thought about this for about 6 months. When you have these major players, whether they do it intentionally or do this like they're doing now, not realizing, forgetting that everybody's seeing everything happening on chain, and they see the impact on the market. Seriously, anytime they want to create a good buying opportunity in the future, they can basically diffuse and redirect and reorganize their wallet balances without selling any, but reorganizing wallet balances that then shocks the market. They're like, oh my God. And Michael Saylor came out today and said, guys, no. This is not the case. There's no truth to this rumor. They are not selling. It's just a repurpose. And you can see this on the strategy website. Still, Bitcoin holdings, 641,000 Bitcoin, 692. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to hold 641,692? Well, I think I'd love to have that. But let's start. Even if you're at the place where you're just getting going, don't not do it because you can't get 1,000 Bitcoin. You can't get 100. You can't get 10. You can't get 1. If you can get 300 sats, start with 300 sats. If you can get $300 worth, 3,000, whatever, you have to do what's right in line with your portfolio. And the reason why I say that is, sure, full port and go take loans and blah, blah, blah. But what happens when you overexpose yourself to an asset more than you can endure? It makes you be one of those basically hyper emotional investors. You're not trader in the market that every time the market gets scary, you sell. Every time the market got scary so far this cycle, this was not a good time to sell. This was not a good time to sell. This, again, in my opinion, is not a good time to sell, especially with everything on the horizon. If you want to sell, then take advantage of when you're seeing the market get frothy. Like you see these very bright green. That green means go, take some profits if you want to. That's a good spot to take a profit. Red means, no, this is not a good time to take a profit. You're being a sucker. You're helping fund somebody else's third vacation house and fourth private boat. You're giving your money away to somebody that has a longer time horizon that say, yeah, I'll buy it. You're going to sell here? Okay, I'll buy. Because remember, every time somebody sells, there has to be a buyer. Every time somebody buys, there has to be a seller. This is a fixed asset class. When you're buying spot, you are buying at any price from somebody that's selling at that price. And everybody has their own reasons. Some are selling because they have a wedding coming up. They have a daughter's, want to help buy the daughter a house, say college, life, medical expenses. Now, of course, now we have all these new Bitcoin financialization products that are coming out where you can, DeFi essentially, where you can take loans against your own assets, take mortgages against your Bitcoin. There's so many different aspects that are coming out now. And also the growing awakening, the realization that Bitcoin is not an asset that you sell. It's an asset that you buy and that you can use as collateral, maybe somewhere down the line, but we got a long way to go in this market. In fact, let's talk a little bit about altcoins, because I know it. How many of you hold any altcoins? I'm sure it's going to be every single one of you, because all of us are degens. I know we should be all in on Bitcoin and just 1% maybe in some altcoins, but all of us are degens. We have some altcoins, but what are the altcoins looking like? And what signal does this give us about the crypto ecosystem right now? Because it does. This is from a friend of mine, On-Chain College. He actually shared another friend of mine, Matthew Hyland, said one of the few analysts out there that has been consistently right for years. And Matthew has been spot on. And Matthew's been on the BitLab Academy channel for quite some time, many times. He used to do a podcast with me as well. But look at this. Remember, Bitcoin's falling right now. Bitcoin's fallen dramatically, right? But all within the context of a bull trend. It's shaking people out. It's shaking out the tourists. And what I find so sexy about this chart is the fact that if the cycle was over, you would not have Bitcoin falling and the dominance falling at the same time. Why is this? Because if the confidence in what is coming was really gone, then if Bitcoin fell, most altcoins would have fallen a hell of a lot more than Bitcoin, meaning they're both falling, but the altcoins are shrinking the collective altcoin index market cap by a larger amount than what Bitcoin is. And you would get this, you get the dominance to go back up. In this case, you're actually seeing the opposite. You're seeing the dominance kind of break down. So what is it looking like? Well, first off, we've had this green bar on here for quite some time. Why? I mean, quite some time. And we talked about if this bounced, and I had this drawn, by the way, and I'm not, those of you that have been watching BitLab Academy before we integrated the shows together, I had this drawn here before this happened. What happened? Boom, bounce, came up, little dead cat bounce, and then boom, sliced right through. And I said, it's going to be a little mini alt season if this happens. And we did. We got a little mini alt season. But now look, this has come back up, retest where previous range low. And now we're actually effectively see this breaking through this level of support here, giving a little bit of rise to this idea of, alts are getting a little bit more established, because alts are no longer just a promise in the ecosystem. Bitcoin's got to be the focus. I'm telling you that right now. However, you cannot ignore what's happening with stablecoins, with Ethereum, with Chainlink, integrating with things like JP Morgan and Swift. And I mean, the list is insane between what they're integrating with Ondo, all the partnerships they have, stablecoins getting integrated into everything that's essentially going to be becoming the payment rails of inter-business commerce, but also international trade and basically payment rails. Stablecoins are built on top of altcoins by nature. So we're seeing an establishment of a new sort of blue chip class in the altcoin ecosystem that Wall Street's actually kind of starting to notice as well. I don't think we're going to have an alt season. What does that mean? What I mean by that is there's going to be some alts that are going to make absolutely life-changing money. Absolutely life-changing money. But it's no longer 2017 where you could just throw a dart at any alt and everything would go up, because there was 50, 100, 250 altcoins, and then up to 1,000. We're like, oh my God, 1,000 altcoins. Oh my, this. And I remember analysts and different people asking, are the alts still going to pump? There's 1,000. And now people are asking, there's going to be an alt season, right? And they're talking about it like the previous cycles. And now it's 26 something million coins, something like 800,000 coins a day are created. Guys, it's a different landscape. There's going to be some very select few, but very bullish assets in the crypto ecosystem that are going to absolutely melt faces. But we're also in the era of AI, where essentially think about building a business or trying to build a business and wanting the best consultants you could ever hire so you can make the right and best decisions. Well, every business out there that's utilizing AI has that now. So coming up with new means, new technologies, new advancements, I think is going to start happening at a rapid rate like we've never even considered. So even some of the altcoins out there that, we all know and love, they might all be phased out in 5 years, 7 years. There's no telling what's going to happen in this market. That's why Bitcoin needs to be the focus and take some flyers on alts. I know I do. I know all of you do too as well. But I do think we still have quite a bit of a leg up in 2026. So that's kind of what I'm watching in that regard. Now, What should we be watching? Well, let's see who's been doing a lot of development. I always love these charts because it kind of gives you an inside look, sort of who's been building versus who's just been letting things float. As established as Chainlink is, they're still number one in RWAs by development. Directional indicators represent each project's ranking rise or fall since last month. So this has been the same. Hedera's been the same. Avalanche, top three, been the same. But then we got, Stellar, IOTA. Man, IOTA has just been silently out there. I mean, I'm not saying IOTA was going to pump, but I made fun of Dash and Zcash for 2 years, kind of dismissing them as dead. And I would joke, hey, what pump today? Zcash, joking, thinking it would never happen. And Zcash and Dash pump like a mofo. And IOTA was another one of that 2018 sort of class that, you know what? They're still developing. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. And I'm not, again, I have not looked into anything that they're doing in the last 2 years. So I'll take a look. Not right now, but I'll take a look. Axelar's up, Chia project down, VeChain official. Remember, these ups and down are irrelevant in terms of price. This is showing how they've moved on the leaderboard since the last time they posted this, last month. Injective on the top 10, Centrifuge, also another great DeFi play. I'm just kind of beside myself with the frustration that people are having in markets right now, because the price is still perfectly within a pattern that we've been highlighting for months. And remember, I'm speaking slowly because I want you all to get this. We have been oscillating around this range for about 340 days. In fact, we can actually go back to here. It's right about $98,000. This is, look at this, 354 days, basically a year. And this was that important price point that everybody last market cycle, 2021, 2022, was sure we were going to hit $100,000. Now we've hit $100,000, and it's not just exploding from here. I've tried, Drew's tried, TJ's tried, DZ's tried. Other people out there have been trying to tell you. $100,000 is a very important level for Bitcoin. So why isn't it running away? We have the depth of liquidity that's in the market now with major players and appetite by institutions and big market players that are coming in. We have OGs that have never had the ability to actually realize the profits. Guys, 15 years ago yesterday, Bitcoin was 16 cents. Okay? 65 million % increase in price from 15 years ago. How does somebody realize those profits in an asset class that they love and not absolutely demolish the asset class? They cannot do it until there's depth of liquidity and circumstances around, structures around that asset class that can endure that withdrawal. And what have we seen? We've seen price action oscillating around the $100,000 level, where people, even like Max Kaiser, who's an absolutely OG Bitcoiner, even said years ago his first time he's going to take some profits was $100,000. Now, he didn't exit his entire position. I'm not even sure if he actually took any profits, but we're seeing, there was one wallet that showed that they sold a couple $2 billion, basically sold everything. Does that mean the asset class is dead? No. It means it's evolving and becoming more mature. And you're also getting the likes of BlackRock and Fidelity and MasterCard and governments and banks and coming in here, scooping up these massive tranches, while retail is getting scared and institutions are getting prepared. That's the difference we're seeing here. So when you see the price breaking down within a pattern and it's coming into a level that we've had marked out, it's like nothing's out of context. Guys, should we be fearful for lower? Be fearful for lower if you're overexposed, if you're over leveraged, if you do not have a vision for where this is going. Of course, you're going to be scared. Research the debasement of the dollar. I think you'll be a little less scared. Be a little bit smarter about positioning yourself. And I want to highlight something right now. When price action right here pushed up, people bought at the top here because they were worried it was just going to run away, and it dropped. 32% down to $48,000. And that same mindset that bought the top there sold the bottom there. Excuse me. Yet again, you have the price run up. They're like, God dang it. You see the price run up and the hype comes back in. Hype comes back in and people buy the exact top and it drops again. And now they're worried they missed the boat. They took the wrong trade again. So they sell only for the price to reverse again. This is happening to more people than you know. And it might not be the exact top and it might not be the exact bottom that people are buying tops and selling bottoms. It might even just be the intermediate movements here. But the point here is back here, what date was this? December of last year. People were buying aggressively here because they were worried the market was going to run away. It dropped. People bought here because they thought the market was going to run away. It washed back out again. People bought here. They thought the market was going to run away. This is August. It dropped. Then went higher. They bought again because they thought the market was going to run away. My point here is, as fast as this asset class is moving, you've got more time than you realize. Don't fuck this up. We got a super chat here from Byron Hardy. Kelly is screaming facts into the wind. People don't understand liquidity and business cycles. They are still stuck in the mythical 4-year cycle, and they are going to be left behind. I can't tell. Drew, give me a thumbs up when you're ready to pop in. I can't tell because I can see him in my room, but he's also in another room doing his interview. I don't think he's ready yet. But Byron, shout out to you. I appreciate that super chat. Thank you very much. Now, beyond all of this, when we're looking at this and we see this still within the structures we're watching, understanding the RSI is getting very reset, the money flow is negative. Oh my God, it's over. I think there's patience that's due here. For the best asset in the history of the world, even if you don't believe that, with the amount of influx, the increase on an institutional level for what's happening in terms of the appetite for Bitcoin, ETFs, stable coins, altcoins, and all the different ways these things are going to be implemented, this asset class is moving very fast, but you still have time. You have time. When I was in the military, there's a saying, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. We've all rushed in the morning and stubbed our toe. It ends up taking you longer because you're careless. And I forget who said it yesterday. Oh, Sammy Loyal. Make sure you go give him a follow as well. He's got a great YouTube channel. I think it's called Four Flies. He's also on X. Sammy Loyal. You'll never have the same buying power for Bitcoin. You'll never be able to get as much Bitcoin as you're able to the first time you're making the purchase. Now, of course, this is for the regular folk. Some people end up getting great job raises and all that kind of stuff. But what's happening for the average person, the first time you're making the purchase starts a clock of debasement of the dollar. So your dollar is going to have less buying power every day after that. You're also going to have a lot more noise in your life around the asset class because you're going to buy it and then you're going to learn TA, then you're going to learn on-chain, then you're going to follow 14 people, then you're thinking you got to trade every move. Then, I should have 11 more Bitcoin than I have now, but I lost 11 Bitcoin in 2 trades about 4 years ago. And, I think about it to this day. Of course, I think of it as tuition, but I do the math. I'm like, okay, that was a $1.1 million, $1.2 million loss. When I project it forward to what the price is now, what's that going to mean when Bitcoin's 4 million a coin? We can't do that to ourselves. You say, you take the loss, you learn from it. You realize if you're going to trade smart, trade with a group of people where you get consensus of thought, like we have in our Discover Investments group Discord. The link is down below. You can get in there for free. Just have to sign up through one of our links. But our whole goal with that is not to push everybody to trade, is to make sure that if you're going to trade, you do it smart. You take good signal. You're making healthy decisions around your portfolio management, and you have an entry and exit plan on every move you make. That's the facts there. How does one lose 4 Bitcoin? Well, I lost 11. I took 2 shitty trades. I was really, really good at spot trading. Really good at spot trading, in my mind, at least. I lost humility. And the loss of humility was like, man, if I'm so good at this spot trading, I'm just gonna go leverage 30x. I'm gonna be rich 3 days from now. Nope. Wiped out like 80% of my portfolio in 2 trades. One trade was stupid. The second one was insane. One trade, I generally just, it was stupid. I should have got slapped around for being that leveraged on that size of my portfolio. The second trade was just absolute dog shit stupid because I was, as CryptoFace calls it, kamikaze trading. It's like you don't care as much because you just lost all this, so then you do that. But I've been breaking it down. We covered the Michael Saylor stuff. We covered what's going on in the market, the breakdown. There could be a little bit more damage to the downside.
Mm-hmm.
Set up in terms of the liquidity wave and what's happening going into Q1, Q2, sometime probably early Q2, where we'll really start to see bullish resolution. But Drew, my man, how you feeling? You got the red in the background, but I know that's because your heart is warm.
Yeah. No, and I'm sitting here scalp longing and, getting in and out of trades right now. And actually, we're just about to implement the trading quant into the Discord, which I'm super excited about as well. But my mindset is basically, it's been this way for 3 or 4 months of consolidating down to projects I feel like have a longevity factor into the next cycle, right? Because yes, we could bounce from here, but we could also see Binance and the powers that be, the big bags that be in crypto, ensure that the 4-year cycle remains intact, right? So I am prepared. I got Tether from trading, just in case we do go back down to the previous all-time high range, somewhere in the $50,000 to $60,000. I'm prepared for that. I'm not worried about it. But on the other side, I'm taking it, what you're saying about the business cycle liquidity, and the idea that this market is about to just roll over and go back majorly to the downside, with retail never really having shown up, massive liquidity never really having made its way into the market right as we're entering into 2026 midterm elections and all of the economic incentives to drive people to the polls with a good feeling. We have stimuluses coming out. Bitcoin going out on a whim with basically a queef in this type of situation makes 0 sense to me. It really does make 0 sense to me. So I'm kind of hedging, right? I'm being very cautiously optimistic. And I'm actually getting more and more bullish on Aerodrome. The more integrations, what just happened with JP Morgan rolling out on the base network, gives me a longer term outlook for Aerodrome, gives me a really longer term outlook for Morpho. And those are, in terms of altcoins, the biggest bags are Chainlink, but then right behind it is Morpho and then Aerodrome. They're catching up.
Wait a minute. From Granny's Garden. Hey, Drew. Welcome, Mr. President.
Hello, people of America. I'm going to do it. I'm going to become president. I'm at least going to give it my damnedest, you know what I mean? But it's a time where Bitcoin's going to $1 million. Probably not this cycle. Actually, most definitely, in my opinion, not this cycle. But over the next 10 years, I'm going to be looking at $1 million Bitcoin. And I'm going to be slapping myself in the face if I'm not taking advantage of the prices that are going on right now, be it 100K, be it 50K. I am here to take care of my kids. I'm not here to buy some stupid Lamborghini and complain because I didn't leave the dealership with a hat. I am here for my kids' legacy, to have a piece of Bitcoin that's going to absorb world finance, act as a black hole of interest across the world, not just within the United States. So this is a time frame where I am unafraid, but I understand if you are afraid. It's not that I don't understand where your fear comes from. I just will say this. I have only felt like buying crypto when everything looks like it's going to 0. That's the only reason why the bags have entry points at the spots that they do. I do not top blast charts, even in a situation where I love the project. Ruth Gaddafi, man, we're going to make this happen. You guys are making my heart swell. And it's going to be a Christian version of Gaddafi, okay? But very similar. It's a time frame where leaning into danger over the past 4 and 5 years, even in the last bear market. We were at $4,000 Bitcoin. People called me an idiot for buying it, for moving my life savings into it. And now my conviction I can lay out is very, very simple. It's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, Aerodrome, and Morpho are right behind that, and Solana, right? Those are the ecosystems that I feel like are going to have very, very long-term outlooks. And I'm actually planning to get on the phone with Veteran Crypto, find the best pool to get involved with Aerodrome DeFi and put my Aerodrome and Morpho to work. These price levels do not interest me to sell those bags at. I've already taken profits on the original Aerodrome buys above $2. Now we're writhing around 80 or 90 cents. People are freaking out. I'm not freaking out about the situation. Oh, we got the dog cam. Shout out to the pooch. We got the pooch. Absolutely love it. It's a time where the brave will be misunderstood. The fearful will be forgotten as time moves on. And this is where I am just simply laser focused, very thankful for this incredible community and the focus that I feel really good that we've been able to focus in on some of the best ecosystems and not fall for these idiotic meme coin hyperbole things, right? You were on a
Yeah,
space.
dude, how about you? Because you're the one that put Morpho on our radar. Pull up the Morpho chart while everything is melting down. This is the difference between not only super strong utility, but right time, right place. And is it melting down along with everything else?
Oh, let's see here. I gotta pull up a different tab. I just did the interview with He Who Shall Not Be Named on YouTube, and that is coming out on X. I'm gonna be editing it over the weekend, but let's go check out how the portfolio's doing here. I haven't even had a chance to look at it because I've been busier than a one-armed paper hanger during the Great Depression. Let's go to the watch list here.
By the way, I do want to shout out Ann Johnson. I appreciate the super chat.
Oh my God.
Kelly
We're up.
Rock, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you very,
What are
very
we
much.
doing? We're up on Canton and Morpho. Unbelievable. Unreal. Morpho, it did get hit with that October 10th liquidity poll, but honestly recovered very, very strongly and kind of missed the memo that it was supposed to dump with the rest of the markets. This is a behemoth of DeFi. And this is going to compete with Aave. I don't think it's going to dethrone Aave, but it is going to compete with Aave. So, this is quite pleasing to me to see this price defense at this. I mean, that looks just like a damn wall that it's got going on right here. Honestly, I feel like I probably should start trading this range here. That $1.99 looks like a damn, stronghold there. But Morpho, I feel good about, and this is the time frame where we have to think about projects that have staying power. That space me and you were on last night, where they're like, "Oh, should we buy Neon Coin, or is Iggy Azalea gonna rug us again?" Right?
If there is a celebrity that launches a coin, laugh and look the other way. That's your public service announcement. Go and invest in real shit.
Yeah, it's so aggravating, and I could feel the aggravation in your voice, in my voice, as we're sitting here talking to thousands and thousands of people thinking about buying this retarded project. Please protect yourself. There are bad actors out there, and on this channel, I take a solemn duty and an understanding every single day to deliver you guys the truth that's in my heart about where the market's going and the deepest research I can possibly do for you. I live, sleep, eat, and breathe this stuff to make sure that we send our community, at least exemplify my pathway to the community in the right direction. Did SteadyBug actually come back either? Like, I want to see SteadyBug. It's his day. I would thought of all days that I would see SteadyBug return because he was calling for a pullback, and it finally happened for him. Shout out to
I want to say something too. Don't fall for channels or people that are super bearish on bear days and super bullish on breakouts. Try to identify people, even if they're not right all the time, that have a thesis that they explain. And for instance, April 7th, and you did this as well as I did, Drew. we talked about the tariff meltdown, and there was massive bullish divergences going into it. The price was retesting a previous major range high. And, I put out a massive post, basically kind of staking my reputation. I said, I think this is where it bounces, and the market did bounce there. That's not going to happen in every single time. It might even drop a little further, or not yet, or try. But like even right now, I'm wearing a $200,000 Bitcoin hat on a day where people think we're going into a bear market. And there's a reason for that. I have conviction in the way I'm moving my portfolio. And I also am okay. And I want you all to hear this. I'm also okay if the market drops another 20, 30%, 40%. It doesn't change my thesis about where things are going in 2 years, 8 years, 12 years. And so I'm looking at the opportunity that we're seeing right now.
Yeah. If it does do that 30% pullback, that is basically a carbon copy of how I knew to hammer in and back up the truck kind of for the second time in my crypto career at 17K. So this was a very simple line that I had, my hillbilly TA from the last bull market, and it all stemmed from the very peak of the 2017 cycle. I expected after 2021 happened that we would at least come down to that range. And if we do have a 30% pullback, that comes down to the previous all-time high. Sometimes it really is that simple, and maybe Binance wants to make it that simple. Maybe that's what's actually going on. In that time frame, my heart gets excited because the Bitcoin I'm buying is only $68,000. And I feel like, over the next 10 years, Bitcoin's going to $1 million. I still feel like, as Sack Nasty here said, and first of all, I see Sack Nasty in the chat, and I've been missing from the channel.
You are banned!
But Chainlink, I think, is actually going to be $200 as a conservative target when Bitcoin is at that $1 million mark. I think Chainlink can hit $200 before Bitcoin hits $1 million. So the systemic importance of Chainlink keeps me convicted. And I've had this idea for it for so long that the price would have to drop to $3.80 for me to be in a negative P&L on it. So time in the market wins over everything, but love your family, love your dogs. Maybe not as much as Kelly Kellum loves his dog. I mean, maybe that much. That's an adorable pooch. She's a good girl. Time in the markets beats out timing the markets. Yes, I know I'm also an active trader, and I'm not giving up on that because I've had an incredible year trading. But there is a larger thing that you need to think about in your heart of hearts. Do you have conviction in the technology that you're investing into? And if that answer is now no, because of a little pullback, you might want to evaluate that very, very heavily, right? That's just what I would say.
And in the face of all this, look at all of this stablecoin, exponential stablecoin sitting on the sideline, aka dry powder that's still in the crypto market that is at a moment's notice ready to get deployed back into buying assets. So there's a lot of bearishness that's out there, and I'm not knocking the bearish technicals that are there. But there's overwhelming landscape in terms of the political landscape, the change in the environment supporting crypto now, the big players that are coming in, quantitative tightening coming to an end, new rate cuts that are coming in, even if it takes all the way till May when Powell's out and we get a new Fed chair in. And then you have all the stable coins on the sideline. I think we need to be patient here. Again, like Drew said, get outside, hug a puppy, kiss a friend, hold a tree if you need to, get sunshine on your shoulders, eat some tacos, eat some pizza, have a beer, play some guitar, eat a milkshake, whatever you need to do. Don't give up on me.
That's right, Rebecca. And thank you very much for holding it down. I'm super excited about that interview. Pay attention to the X account at Druth Crypto for that interview. It's going to be spicier than hell. Definitely do recommend you. So if you don't follow me already and you want to catch this interview that I'm being so elusive about, please do go follow me at Druth Crypto. This is basically the only place I am allowed to post this interview at. So I love you guys. Stay based, and also follow Kelly. What am I doing here? At Kelly Kellum. He's always out there. We're holding it down. We're going to be live for you every single time there's a need to be live for you guys because we actually care about you. So please give us some support. We're going to be moving into the danger zone of 2026 with courage, with support as a community, and with leverage. I love and appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you on the next episode. Goodbye.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.